finished?
Hi there everyone, how are you guys doing? So it's so cold here today. There's major winds, like, you know, I know it's Canada, but it's not supposed to be this cold. I got like a big sweater on that I keep for winter time, and yeah, can spring come here already? Like, it would really help our morale since we can't go outside that much. So as I had mentioned last time, I might not do a live stream every day concerning the sourdough bread starter, in case nothing super exciting happens between them. So it's been 3 days since I did a live stream, and I'm really getting frustrated trying out things. So I thought I would just do an update. And also, I did make, this is not an actual real sourdough bread, but I did make a bread, and so we'll get all into that. All right, so I know it's normal that I was not going to get the same bubbles that I got like after 48 hours or like at day 3 in the morning. I know it's supposed to go down, but it's like not going really anywhere. It keeps developing a sour taste, which is appropriate. I'm just not getting those bubbles, which is what will make a bread rise naturally. So it's really frustrating. This is pretty much a normal phase for people who are not used to making this, because it's hard to get it on the first try. So originally I had been using this container because it's like the only one I have that's really clear. The problem is, I think one of the reasons why the top was drying, like the top of the starter was drying, is because there was just too much oxygen from it. So I decided to go smaller. Hi Lady Maresca, how are you? And thanks for being there. I think we had just talked about something on Instagram about the sourdough bread or something recently. Oh, no, the other thing, the mystery recipe, which I'll be posting very, very soon, maybe today on Instagram. So yeah, I was just really exaggerated. Do you have any experience, Joyce, with sourdough starters? I mean, you're near San Francisco too, I think. No, you're not. Or you're nearby-ish. I can't remember. Let me know. So I decided to try the way I was doing my starter like a couple of years ago, which was a different ratio than the one that I'm trying to duplicate now. And so I'm gonna get like 2 different starters going at the same time. What I've been doing so far, I'm actually just dividing it in 2. So at first I was using 75 grams of the sourdough starter that was from already made. So I cut it down to 37.5 grams. Instead of 100 grams of flour altogether, it's 50, and the water was 125. I think it's 65-ish something, I can't remember. So I cut everything down in half, and I marked my glass. So it's marked, I know which is which. So this one is, I don't know if you can tell, it's a lot more, like you can shake it. The point also, which I just screwed up, of putting a tape here, it's at the level where it was when I put it in, and it's not moved at all. So the other one that I used to make is really of a ratio of 1 to 1 to 1. I'm just gonna look what, I don't know, can you buy sourdough starter in the store? I don't think so. I mean, anyways, that's my self-isolation project. Vegas, that's true. Erin is in San Francisco and you are in Vegas. And this is my other one that I just started today. I've split them in 2, so it's 1 part water, 1 part flour, 1 part the previous sourdough starter by weight. So in this one, I have 2 ounces of everything, and this one is a lot more solid. It doesn't quite shake as much, so there's less water percentage-wise in this one versus the original one we've been trying to get going. Also, another thing, so I put them in these glasses, so there's a lot less oxygen, and I am covering them loosely, but with like a Tupperware lid. So there's less oxygen in there. That might help. I mean, it's always usually hot in my place, especially my kitchen, except today. So I decided to put them in the oven. The oven is off, but I've turned on the light in the oven. They say that's a really good place. It will keep it warmer, so it can help and keep things active. So that's the plan now for the next couple of days. I really hope that there will be an improvement. If you're watching this and you're a sourdough starter expert or way more ahead than I am, please give me advice down in the comments, please. Every website says something different, so it's getting a little hard. So I finally made a bread. It's from collected 2 days worth of sourdough starter. So it's not a sourdough starter bread in the sense that I did use yeast in it and some sourdough starter. So you can say it's like a sourdough flavored bread that still has yeast in it. But it was a really interesting recipe. It was unlike any bread I really saw before. But I know you can buy bread at the store, but we have time to kill right now. So this bread, it's actually, I kind of invented also my recipe because I found a really quick bread to make that required no kneading, and I was looking for something overnight. So literally it just gave you, I'll put the link down below in the description. It said this much flour, this much water, a little bit of salt, mix it until you kind of get this texture. If it's like loose and like fluid a bit, it's fine. Cover it overnight and then flop it depending on its consistency. Mine was really liquid. Flop it on some floured parchment paper, fold it over itself twice, and mine was like really spreading. It was like a blob. So I did that, and then you're supposed to cook it in the oven, in a Dutch oven stove. So I have a very old Creuset, and so I gathered my paper, my parchment paper, and just put it in another bowl, because it was just gonna melt right off. It was so loose. I put it temporarily in another bowl, and then you have to heat your Dutch oven to 450 degrees Fahrenheit, or 500. Actually, I read a couple of recipes. So I put mine straight in the cold oven, and I waited about half an hour. You want to heat it for about 20 minutes, and you want to wait for the oven to say it's hit 500, which is broil practically. Then you take out the Dutch oven, put in the bread with the parchment paper in the Dutch oven, cover it, put it back in the oven, then lower it to 400, which is still a lot. And you cook it that way for 40 minutes, and then you take off the lid and you cook it for another 10 to 15 minutes until the top is nice and browned. However, like I said, I played around. The recipe online did not say to use sourdough starter, so I just I knew the consistency I had to get, so I threw the sourdough starter, a little bit of salt, I added a little bit of liquid, and then I added enough flour to get the texture that I was supposed to get. I also put in some cocoa powder and a little bit of sugar, but it's not a chocolate bread. It's still going to be like bitter, but I just had a few tablespoons left of the container, so I said, let's throw it in there. So that's why it's got such a dark color. So it's been resting for 3 hours since it's been cooked, so why don't we have a tasting right now? We'll cut a slice. It's kind of really dense, but it's got a nice thick crust. Oh, but it has a nice, well, let's cut just a slice, not just get the edge. It's really dense to cut. It's not the best table for it either. So there you go. There's the inside of my bread. So it's got some nice little holes still in there, even though the sourdough starter was not enough to really lift it. It made a little bit, it helped along with the yeast. So let's give it a test try. I can't talk today. So it actually has the taste of a sourdough bread because there's so much sourdough starter in it. I definitely could have added more flour because it's cooked, but it's kind of sticky. It's just like I know it was too moist altogether, so I could have added, like I said, it's cooked, it's just really moist. So it's fine. The cocoa powder is like barely tasting. It's just more to give it a look more than anything. But the crust is really nice. And yeah, it's really, I will definitely still be able to enjoy this bread. So that's a great way to get rid of sourdough starter discard. So, well, let me see what you wrote, Joyce. I don't make bread, I cook and bake other things. Yeah, it takes a lot of practice to get good at bread making, and there's some more complicated recipes than others, that's for sure. But it's a challenge, a creative challenge that I'm giving myself right now. So we'll keep it for that right now. I'll come back to you when there starts to be something happening. I'm not going to do it daily if I don't have anything new to say. So I hope you enjoyed this little update. I also just posted earlier today a video on my YouTube channel on how to make a 100% unsweetened Dalgona coffee. You can add a little sugar if you want to, but you know the main recipe, it takes 2 tablespoons of sugar like per glass, and that's way too sweet for me. So I have created an unsweetened version. So make sure to check that out. I'll put the link up once this video is processed, and just if not, click on the CulturEatz channel and you'll see that it's there in the new videos that just came out. So I'm really excited about that one. I hope you go watch it. And until then, I'm gonna go have a little bread by myself, and I wish you a beautiful, wonderful, hopefully warmer day than it is here. Always remember to eat and travel very safely right now, outside of your comfort zone. Mwah. Bye. Thanks for watching. Thank you, Joyce, as well, for